Hi everybody, this is Madison Klein. I am one of the student advisors, and today I'm going to give you a little crash course in taking a law school midterm exam. So first and foremost, there are 5 basic steps to writing an exam. Number 1, preview and budget your time. 2, read the call of the question first. 3, read the entire question prompt. 4, outline your answer. And 5, crack. Similar to CREAC, like you've been learning in your legal research and writing class, but a little bit different on an exam. So step 1, we want you to preview and budget your time. What does that mean? So most fact scenarios will have a variety of issues or claims all combined into one really long hypothetical. Most, not all, but we're trying to be general here. So in this case, it's usually not worth your time to spend the majority on one single issue or claim. We want you to be able to split your time equitably between all of the issues and the claims you spot, even if some are only briefly addressed. Step 2, we want you to read the call of the question first. Why do we want you to read the call of the questions first? So you know what you need to answer. Ask yourself, is it asking me about a specific question or about a specific tort? Or is it more general, asking me to identify all the issues or claims between the parties? Does it specify jurisdictional rules? All of the answers to these questions will help you form a really good answer that's going to address what your professor is asking you to address. Make sure that when you write your answer, you're answering the question asked. There's nothing worse than spending 30 to 45 minutes rapidly typing out an answer only to reread the question and find out you didn't even need to talk about what you just spent 30 minutes writing about. Step 3, read the entire question prompt. As you read through the prompt and the fact scenario, mark or take notes where you can. Normally, we would have paper booklets that you would get when we take exams in person. So I realized that in this situation, it might be a little bit different. In this case, I would recommend having scratch paper next to you, or depending on the software, which I'm not familiar with yet, writing in notes as you're reading the fact pattern. So when you're reading through the fact pattern, I would suggest identifying the parties, specific facts, and issues that will be relevant to your analysis. Marking these while you read through the prompt is efficient, and it's going to ensure that you don't forget issues or facts after you begin writing your answer. It's also going to help with the next step, which is outlining your answer. And by this, we mean be organized. Some people will write out lists of the issues as they see them. Some people will write out the parties and the claims the parties have against each other. And some people will organize the claims by groups. Do what makes sense to you in the moment. Trust your gut. Having some type of list or organization to your approach will also help as you begin diving into the crack. It will also help with time allocation, and it's going to help you keep focus on the main ideas. Sometimes when you're writing an exam answer, it is really easy to get caught in the weeds and end up jumping down a rabbit hole that probably isn't going to earn you a lot of points. So having an outline is going to ensure that you stay focused on your key issues and the key claims and make sure that you're going to get those points. Step 5 is CRAC, and CRAC is an acronym that's going to help you remember how to structure your answer. So what does CRAC stand for? First, the C stands for conclusion. Your answer will usually begin with a conclusion such as James is liable for battery or James is probably liable for battery. Then you have rule, which is what R stands for. It's a statement of the rule, such as battery is the intentional infliction of harmful or offensive contact. It's a recitation of the elements of whatever the law is that you're going to be applying. Now, the first A stands for what I just said, application. You're going to apply the law to the facts, including the elements of the rule. This is typically where you earn most of your points. It's the part of the legal analysis that we're trying to teach you in law school. So it's where you get to show, logically, how you get to your legal conclusion. Walk us through every logical step you take. Application plus, which is the second A, is an opportunity to address any counterarguments or defenses in the application of the law to the facts. And then finally, restate your conclusion. It's just a great way to wrap it up. And like you've learned in legal writing, structure is everything, right? You want to make sure a reader understands what you're trying to say. So let's see an example. Here I would implore you to pause the recording and take a moment to read through this hypothetical. And when you read through the hypothetical, try to practice everything we just went through. Highlight and take notes as you read through the fact pattern, identifying parties, claims, and issues that you think are going to be relevant. And of course, do this after you've read the call of the questions below, 1, 2, and 3. Then we'll come back and we'll walk through an example of what I would do and how I would work through this, as well as some sample answers. So this is an example, and you'll see with the highlights, of how I would probably go through this hypothetical and mark it up. Either on paper, writing out the names of the parties and the claims I think they have against each other, or if I'm able to, highlighting a PDF or some on-screen text, so that I make sure that I'm identifying important parts of the hypothetical that I may want to come back to when I'm writing my answer. Here we have a sample answer. Now, I want to point out a couple things before we jump into actually the meat of the answer. You'll see the organization of it. There's a heading that says 1, Ned v. Carl. This is the parties identification I was talking about before. And underneath identifying the parties that likely have claims between each other, in addition to the fact that question 1 asks specifically about the claims that Ned and Carl have between each other, or Ned has against Carl, you'll see another heading that says assault, which is identifying the claims. This is an example of organizing your answer, and this was likely done as they were reading through the fact scenario or the hypothetical. So this is just an example. Just remember, outline your answer beforehand. It helps keep you organized, and it's also going to help you make sure that you're spending time equitably between all the different claims and issues that the parties have. Jumping into the dissection of this answer, I've gone ahead and highlighted the various parts of the crack method that we've suggested you use when writing your law exam answers. So normally, I didn't write the sample answer, full disclosure, but normally, as we said, you would start your answer with a conclusion, which would go something along the lines of Carl is probably liable for assault. And then you would jump into your rule statement, which is highlighted in purple here. Assault is the attempted battery or the causing of reasonable apprehension of an immediate harmful touching. I've also highlighted in blue specific excerpts that come from the hypothetical and fact scenario. We mentioned this earlier when we were walking through our 5 steps for taking the exam, but this is another helpful part of noting while you're reading through your hypothetical, because you may want to pull specific language to illustrate your application points. In red, I've highlighted what I believe to be the application of the law to the facts, and then in green, I have highlighted the conclusory statement. So next I'm going to show you another answer, and if you want, you could pause this recording and try to do exactly what I did in the previous sample answer, which is to identify and dissect the different parts of this answer as it relates to the crack method. Identify the conclusions, identify the rule statements, and identify the various applications that are going on in this answer. And here's another sample answer. Again, if you want, you can pause the recording and try to identify the different parts of the crack method used to structure this answer. This one, unlike the others, identifies defenses, which is likely going to be part of your exams that you're taking this week. So like I said, I would provide the link to where I got these hypotheticals from. There are a lot of online sample exam questions, so feel free to use them as you prepare for your following midterms and the final exam. I can't say enough about practicing. Practice makes perfect, and reps are everything. Get as many sample questions and sample answers as you can, so that as you're practicing on the questions, you can take your own answers that you're writing in full and hopefully in a timed setting, and compare them to the sample answers and see what you correctly identified, what you may have missed, and maybe what you got beyond what the sample answer gave. In addition, here are some things that I would suggest avoiding. Don't information dump or outline dump. I'm not sure how many of the midterms will be open or closed book, but it's not going to earn you a lot of points just retyping your outline into the exam. As stated before, a lot of your points are going to come from the application section of your answer and not necessarily the rule recitation or the conclusory statement. Again, your bread and your butter are the analysis and the application of the law to the facts. So, some parting tips and advice. We're pretty much done here. So right now, breathe and relax. Everything is going to be okay. If you can, print out the document or the PDF that the test will be on, or have scratch paper near you to take notes so that you don't forget key issues as you spot them in the fact scenario. Refer back to the fact pattern itself. Part of the analysis should always contain key phrases and words from the original fact pattern. Incorporate those phrases. Reread through the fact pattern to make sure you didn't forget any other issues. And I'm going to come back to the first thing I said. Take a deep breath and relax. At the end of the day, this midterm is going to help prepare you for other midterms down the road as well as the final exams. Good luck, you're going to be great.